Good evening everyone, my name is Kieran, of course from Red Devil Weekly, to give my opinion on what will be a very interesting FA Cup quarter-final at Old Trafford as United host Fulham on Sunday, tomorrow if you're watching on the Saturday, but Sunday afternoon, and it should be a very interesting tie and potentially another trip to Wembley for Manchester United. A trip to Wembley potentially for Fulham will be the first time since August 2020 when they got promoted, of course, to the Premier League. So exciting times for both clubs, but a draw which I think a lot of United fans would have taken, especially if you look at the teams that were left. Man City obliterating Burnley at the Etihad tonight, 6-0 winners. I think we dodged a bullet there, but maybe we'll have to play them in the semi-finals if we do get there. Obviously, Brighton playing Grimsby as well. So, there's a few difficult ones left in the competition, but we have got Fulham at home, and it's a home draw. But, Fulham this season have been overperforming, you would say, and have been doing very well for themselves. And a team which will have a bit of a free hit, but we'll get into all that in just a second. Before we do, of course, if you do enjoy the video, please do feel free to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel as well if you are new and do enjoy the content and want a bit more of it. Let me know. Feel free to subscribe, and also comment down below if you're watching on the replay or on a video or whatever. Leave your thoughts in the comment section down below. I always try and read all of your comments, so please do leave your thoughts in the comments down below. But we'll go straight into it and we'll talk a little bit about the opposition. Also, I should say, if you are watching live and do want to get involved in the live chat, but also potentially there'll be an opportunity to get involved and call in. I have been saying for the past 3 or 4 streams that I will be getting people calling in, and I thought, you know what, tonight is the night. Tonight, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to be back doing that. So, at some point I will put the link in the live chat. If anyone does want to join, then they're absolutely welcome to join and give their say on the game. But before we get to that, we'll give you a bit of the context. We'll go over some of the major talking points in this game. And Fulham, of course, are one of the major talking points. Coming into this game, 9th in the Premier League table. Just coming into this game off the back of a 3-0 defeat to Arsenal, which, to be honest with you, there's no real shame in that. This season, Arsenal are playing some unreal football and they're in very, very good form. Obviously, their European push has finished. A very, a very good effort from Sporting to knock Arsenal out at the Emirates. I kind of thought that tie was done and dusted. I really felt that, yes, Sporting are not a bad side, but Arsenal at home this season have been cash money. So I really didn't expect the result, but I'm not complaining, honestly. I'm not complaining. But we're not here to talk about Europa League. We're here to talk about the FA Cup, and Fulham in the FA Cup. Well, they've been fairly dominant. First game, I believe, they played Hull, and they beat them fairly comfortably. They've also beaten Leeds 2-0 in the previous round. They had to go to extra time and penalties against Sunderland. They got a replay against Sunderland. There's no extra time penalties. They drew 1-1 at home against Sunderland and then beat them 3-2 away from home in the second in the replay. So, they've had a few up and down moments in the FA Cup, but they're here, and this season they've done very, very well, and ultimately they're in a interesting position when it comes to this competition. They're not having to worry about relegation. There's no kind of thought of, well, let's rest some players because we need to have a full strength squad for the Premier League running. There's none of that for Fulham. This is a huge chance for them to potentially go on and win a trophy and get to a final. Obviously, with the other teams left in the competition, there'll still be teams to get through in the semi-final, but it's not the kind of Arsenal, Liverpool, the top 6 sides dominating this season. Man City and us are the only 2 top 6 sides left in the competition. So it's an interesting position they find themselves in. It's not a position where they have to, look to rest players and be conservative. They've got a big chance. They really have a big chance, and I think they'll look to exploit that, especially with the form they've been on this season. Matthew's joined us. Thanks for joining, Matthew. Appreciate it. Says Andres Pereira redemption arc. Yeah, that obviously, they have got a few former Manchester United players. I think Dan James still plays for them, but obviously the bigger one is Andres Pereira, who hasn't been doing too bad for Fulham this season. Obviously his move didn't really work out. Manchester United, we just couldn't keep him, let's be honest. He just wasn't up to standard, and he always did his best. He always tried his hardest. That's the best we could really say, and he gave us some good moments. He did give us some good moments in a Manchester United shirt, but he didn't really live up to that potential that we all thought that Andres Pereira could reach, which is unfortunate, because when we were seeing him as a young player, I think there was a lot of potential, a lot of hype around him. But yeah, he just never really reached that potential for us. But for Fulham this season, he has been doing some really, really good stuff. And I'm sure he'll want to, make some sort of statement, coming back to Old Trafford, as most former United players do. They want to make a statement. They want to kind of show the club that let them go that it was a mistake. We've seen the likes of Danny Welbeck do it at Manchester United in the FA Cup quarter-final, no less, scoring and winning the game 2-1. So it's something we've seen all too often. It's an all too familiar story for Manchester United, former players coming back and either having a worldie between the sticks or, scoring a winning goal. So it's something we've got to watch out for, definitely, and I think he's been one of their brightest sparks. I just realised that Dan James does still play for Fulham. I'm not sure how much game time he's really been getting. I think he's been used as a substitute, but he has scored in the FA Cup this season. In the 2-0 win over Hull, he did get a goal in that game, so he's got a pedigree in the competition, and he'll be looking to add to that tally, no doubt, and again, he'll be wanting to send a little bit of a message. And he's always difficult to play against in that, yes, his final ball, his quality isn't quite there, and we kind of saw that at Manchester United, but his pace is something that, every single team he comes up against, you have to deal with it. It causes problems. So that's one thing that, will be a little bit of a worry, is Dan James and his pace in behind. We saw when he played against us, when he played for Leeds last season, he created a goal. I can't remember who it was for, but he created a really nice goal, and he's someone who will be looking to create problems, especially on his side. And of course, Mitrovic as well. He's going to be pretty well the main protagonist for Fulham. Someone who a lot of people doubted, especially me, coming into the Premier League season. I really thought he wasn't going to be great this year. I thought he was going to struggle. I thought that, we usually see the story from Mitrovic is he gets 30, 40 goals in the Championship and then comes up to the Premier League and gets, between 5 and 10 goals and just, doesn't do enough and his team go back down again. But this season, he's been doing wonders for Fulham, and, he's someone that has a goal in him against the top 6. He's someone that always causes problem in the box aerially, but also technical ability, he's very, very good as well. His finishing has definitely improved. So, with that being said, he is someone that worries me. But, if we're going to go through to the quarterfinals, we're going to have to deal with his aerial presence, and it's something that defensively we've been fairly solid as of late. Obviously, the 7-0 to Liverpool kind of is the caveat to that, but ultimately we've been fairly defensively solid as of late. So hopefully we can deal with Mitrovic. We didn't have to face him when we beat them 2-1 earlier in the season, so that'll be a different dynamic, something we haven't faced this season. And also Fulham, some good team news for them is Palhinha and Willian come back into the side, as well as Tom Cairney. Willian and Tom Cairney both coming back from injury. Palhinha served a 2-game suspension. And, well, he's been good for them this season, Palhinha. In that midfield, he's been someone that has really made them tick. And it's kind of unfortunate that his 2-match ban has come to an end in time for this game, because he's someone that obviously they missed in their last couple of games, and it showed in the results they've got. But we are going to have to face him, and obviously we don't have our very own Casemiro in the team, and we'll get on to Man United. Probably as good a time as any to get on to Man United. Matthew says Sabitzer better be fit, else we are very light in midfield. Well, it'll look like it'll be McTominay and Fred, the old guard, back together again. Should be an interesting one if Sabitzer isn't fit. Martinez will pocket him, no worries. I hope you're right, but there is a thin line between confidence and complacency, as you well know. But yeah, ultimately we'll talk about Manchester United, and the biggest news is that Casemiro won't be featuring in the game tomorrow. Of course, he picked up a red card, his second of the year, so it'll be a 4-match suspension for Casemiro, which starts tomorrow. I think he also has to miss away to Brighton and away to Newcastle in this 4-game run. So it's not looking good. Those 2 games will be very difficult games for United. And as Matthew pointed out, Sabitzer has got to be on form. He's got to be fit. And in good news for Manchester United, we saw that Antony yesterday was training. I'm not sure if he'll be involved in the starting 11, but I think he'll be involved in the matchday squad. Sabitzer obviously came on against Betis, which is a good sign for the last kind of half an hour of that game, and he looked fairly good. He looked fairly solid. Obviously not going to be up to full match pace just yet, but I would not be surprised if he starts in that team tomorrow, and he'll have to be at a good position. He'll have to be playing to the best of his ability, because we have seen him play in the FA Cup in the previous round. He started for us against West Ham, and we didn't actually play that well. We didn't actually play that well with him on the pitch. And that is something that does slightly worry me, in that when Casemiro hasn't played this season, we have suffered quite a lot. And Sabitzer is someone who does have that defensive capability, but ultimately going forward is his main strength. So, whether he slots in next to Fred, I don't know. If McTominay is injured, then yeah, he'll have to slot in next to Fred, because I don't see who else we put in there. But yeah, it's a big game for him. Because without Casemiro, it's a really big, important time for our other midfielders to step up. I think probably they would even recognise that this season they've been outshone by Casemiro, and all the focus has been on him. So it's a big opportunity for them to kind of step up and put in a good performance, and state their claim for the person that's going to be next to him. Hopefully that gives them that motivation, and hopefully we don't see a similar performance to that of which we saw against West Ham in the last round. But I'll give you my predicted starting 11. You can give your predicted starting 11s in the live chat or the comment section down below. But here is my predicted starting 11 for the game tomorrow. I'm going to go with De Gea in goal, Shaw, Martinez, Varane, and Aaron Wan-Bissaka. I think that's our strongest back line. And obviously this is the last game we have before the international break, so I don't think there's any reason not to go full strength. Aaron Wan-Bissaka, of course, coming in for Dalot, and I just feel like Aaron Wan-Bissaka, so far since the turn of the year, has been our best fullback. Yes, Dalot going forward might offer a little bit more, but we just look so much better when Wan-Bissaka's on the pitch. So I'm going to put Wan-Bissaka on that right-hand side, Fred and Sabitzer in the pivot, and if McTominay's injured and Casemiro's out, we are looking fairly bare there. Some good news actually, which Ten Hag said, which you guys probably would have seen on Twitter, on social media, is that Ten Hag said that Eriksen should be ready for April, which is really good news, because as we talked about, our midfield options are looking very, very sparse indeed. So to have Eriksen back as soon as possible, especially for this run-in, will be very important. I've gone with Rashford, Fernandes and Sancho as a 3 in behind Wout Weghorst. Martial, I think, will be back in the squad, but I don't think he'll be fit enough to start. Maybe a substitute appearance, and fingers crossed we don't see another injury from Anthony Martial in the warm-up, as we saw last time. But yeah, I think Weghorst is big for him, because obviously if Martial's coming back to fitness, Weghorst really needs to show why he deserves to start up front, because if he doesn't, and he disappoints in the next couple of games, Martial will be taking his place. I've got no question about that. And I've gone for Sancho because I believe Antony is out injured, and obviously Garnacho's out injured as well. So fortunately, we've got a little bit of depth now in those forward positions, and I think Sancho will slot in there. But I wouldn't mind Pellistri. Pellistri, when he's played for us in the last couple of games, has looked very, very good indeed. So, ultimately, I wouldn't mind if either Sancho or Pellistri started this game. But I think he will go with Jadon Sancho. Let me know your thoughts on the predicted lineup in the live chat, and then we will get into the score predictions and any other business section of the preview. Matthew said he played Wan-Bissaka, but I think he'll pick Dalot. Dalot does seem to be a favourite of Ten Hag's. I mean, Wan-Bissaka has been coming on as a sub in most games recently, but I just feel like we look so much better and a lot more solid at the back with Wan-Bissaka on that right-hand side. I know Dalot, going forward, as I said, might offer something better, but actually recently I don't think he's been offering even that. I don't think he's been offering us much going forward. I just feel like I'd feel a lot more comfortable with Wan-Bissaka on that right-hand side, but you could be right. You could, default to Dalot, which, shouldn't be too much of a problem, but I trust Wan-Bissaka a lot more than I trust Dalot. Owen's joined us. He says, I'm concerned we might be the shock of the round, unfortunately. Well, obviously there does seem to be a shock every single round, but there are only 4 games going on, so, listen, Fulham are a decent side, we can't get away from it. The last time we played them, we only just about won the game in the kind of the last kick of the game, so, they're a decent side. Obviously, they've got Mitrovic in this game. We didn't have to face Mitrovic in the last game we played. It's not going to be an easy game, and anyone that thinks it's going to be easy, I would say you're a little bit deluded, or at least very, very optimistic. Because I feel like Fulham are going to make it difficult for us, and we haven't really had an easy fixture in this season's FA Cup. Not on paper, but in terms of how the games have played out. The Everton game, Everton equalised and it was a bit of a sticky one. Obviously the Burnley game, Burnley are playing some good football this season. And of course, the West Ham game, they made it very difficult for us. Obviously, we had to score 2 in the last 15 minutes to go through. So, it's not going to be easy. And in the FA Cup, we've not been making it look easy. But ultimately, getting through is the aim, and getting through is all that matters in the end of the day. But Fulham, as we talked about earlier in the stream, this is a bit of a free hit for them. They're not going to have to worry about resting players. In some ways, this is really their season, because if they don't get the FA Cup, they're kind of pretty well clear of the relegation battle. They're 9th in the league. Chelsea are 10th, incidentally, after their 2-2 draw with Everton. I don't know why I thought of that. Just thought, had to say it, had to make the point. But we digress. So ultimately, Chelsea are in 10th, Fulham are in 9th, and they're in a solid position. They're not going to go down. So if they don't win this game, if they're out of the FA Cup, the only thing they can really look to do is push for Europe. So that's what they'll be doing, and they'll be focusing on that. But it's not it's not a kind of be all and end all objective, the European places. If they get it, it'll be dreamland for Fulham. But ultimately, this is a big game for them, because if they win it, they get a chance to go to Wembley, and it'll be huge for Fulham to be in the semi-final. So it's a game which, all the pressure is pretty much on us to get the job done. However, we have got a very strong record at Old Trafford. I think we've only lost once in our last 21 home games in all competition. So I'm confident we will get the job done, but by no means will it be an easy game. So yeah, that's my kind of overall thoughts on it. Owen says, what a goal by CR7, by the way. Wonder who we've got on our free kicks. Alright, yeah. I mean, I did see that, and fair play to Ronaldo. It was a good strike. The keeping, it wasn't the best keeping, I'll be honest. It wasn't the best keeping. But, Ronaldo, it was a decent strike in the end, and he seems to be kind of ripping up that league, so fair play to him. I can't say anything negative. He's ripping up that league, so fair play to him, and obviously nice for him to get the goal. But I'll give my score predictions. You guys leave your score predictions in the live chat and the comment section below, and then we'll wrap this baby up. So my score prediction is United 3, Fulham 1. I think it'll be very similar to the West Ham game. We might even go behind in the game. But I think we will come out and win the game. I think Potentially it could be another tale of two halves, where in the first half we start quite slowly, but then the second half we come out and really show what we're about. I think, without Garnacho and without Anthony, we are going to be lacking in the forward departments. But if Rashford and Sancho, particularly Rashford, shows the form that he's been showing pretty well since the turn of the year, then we will have enough goals in this team. But I think defensively it's going to be a challenge, especially with the fact that Fulham will probably be looking to throw everything they have at this game. It's a bit of a free hit, so it's going to be a game where we will have periods where Fulham are going to be on top. So ultimately we're going to have to weather that storm, but I'm confident we'll get through it, and I think it'll be a 3-1, and I think it'll be maybe a couple of goals in the second half to really seal the victory. But I'm looking forward to it. Another potential opportunity to go to Wembley. Huge for Ten Hag. It's his first season, by the way, and we're still fighting on all four fronts. Hopefully that continues after tomorrow. But I'm going to go 3-1 United. I'm going to say Rashford on the score sheet. I'm going to say Weghorst on the score sheet as well, and then I'm going to say Fred with a late goal to seal it and make it 3-1 to Manchester United. Let me know your thoughts in the live chat, your score predictions before we do wrap it up. Owen saying, also, what a result for Leeds today. Is that going to get any coverage from this broadcaster, or your bias going to once again reign supreme? Well, this is a Manchester United fan channel. Unapologetically, this is a Manchester United channel. So the fact that you're even bringing up Leeds is concerning. It really is concerning. It's high time someone looked at the grey matter between your ears, because it's clearly not right. We don't care. We do not care about Leeds. Honestly, this channel could not care less about Leeds unless we're playing them. We could not give a jot about Leeds and their result today. So thanks for bringing it up, but no thanks. Thanks for that, Owen. There's a time for Sancho to step it up. Well, I hope so. And when he first came back from his hiatus, he actually looked quite good. But since then, he's kind of fallen off a little bit. Maybe it's because he's not getting regular game time. I do think he'll start this game though, and I think it'll be a huge opportunity for him to really perform. Really perform and really put on a performance. Mother says there's a wolf in sheep's clothing here. Yeah, it seems like it. Are we surprised at who we think it is? I don't think we are. I think I've gone down a cul-de-sac there. 2-1 United. 2-1 United, says Owen. So from going... Hold on a second. So this is the first comment that we had. The first comment was this. This was his first comment. And in the space of 8 minutes, we've changed the tune. But I'm happy to change the tune. It's a bit positive. Matthew says 1-1. De Gea saves a pen to win it. Wow. That is a really specific prediction. I mean, I hope it does come off. But yeah, I hope it doesn't go to penalties, because our penalty record against anyone decent is poor. The last time we won a penalty shootout, of course, was Rotherham. I think back in 2019. So ultimately, if we go to penalties, I'm not confident. I'm really not confident. But hey, however we get there, it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. Yeah, we'll have a look at it. We'll have a review of the mod situation. The chat is absolutely bouncing tonight. So, sometimes you really need those mods to step in. So we will be investigating that, don't worry. But cheers to everyone for joining. Appreciate it. Thanks to everyone that's tuned in. If you are watching on the replay, leave your thoughts in the comment section down below. And yeah, thanks for watching, guys. Really appreciate it. I will leave it there. Hopefully United get the job done tomorrow. But until then, thanks for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one. Cheers.